This is At the Extremes.
Beloved, welcome back to At the Extremes, the podcast where we discuss the extremes in our society and how we got here. As always, we're your host. I'm Greg.
And I'm Serge.
And today we're going to be chatting about the week that was. We are expecting a pretty heavy snowstorm, so we're doing this remotely today. So if you hear a little bit
heavy
of
snowstorm as it's starting, it's just been raining for the last 3 hours.
I don't understand that. I don't understand how they can get it so wrong, but you know.
I think it's good. I think the air is going to be coming up and it's going to make it a little bit. The air, it's coming. It's invading.
The air is coming. It's attacking us. The air is attacking us.
It's an invasion of air.
We're going to talk about that here pretty soon. Before we do that, though, do you mind if I share one of my new favorite things that I found out about this week? Well, not this week, but I'll start then. I'll start with this. I got a gift given to me by my wife, and it was a new bird feeder. That bird feeder has a smart camera on it, and I get,
oh, cool.
It's so fucking cool. I get pinged when new birds show up. It has I think it's a paid subscription thing, but the AI can tell you what bird it is, which is really cool. I have the Audubon Society app on my phone, so I just screenshot it and try to find it that way. But it's so cool, and I've realized that during COVID I got into bird watching, so this is just taking it to a completely new level. Wife knocked it out of the park.
You know that so I have a cousin who is a birder. That's a awesome story, by the way, about your birds.
Thank you.
I'm sure all of our generation is going to be super excited about that. They're going to
Carolina wrens everywhere, bro. I can't even tell you how many Carolina wrens I've seen so far.
Heck yeah. Gotta love those wrens and the sterlings and
Sterlings are the trash bird, the trash pandas of the bird world, in my opinion. But
yeah, kind of like pigeons too, right?
Yeah. They're the rats of the sky. They're maybe
gross.
Maybe I don't know, dove. I don't like mourning doves either. Listen to us.
I'm not a fan. They seem kind of dumb. They
just lay in the road half the time. It's just get out of here, stupid dove. Look at us doing some bird talk.
Bird talk. Yeah, that's actually, hey fans, we're changing the direction of our show now. We're just going to be talking about the birds that we see.
Today I saw a grackle in the yard. It was amazing.
Which is actually really funny because so my wife, she wasn't a fan of birds. She didn't eat chicken for a long time because it grossed her out. But she has a story where she was running and a bird flew under her foot and she stomped on it and killed it.
That's awesome.
And she ran into the house. It was just oh my God, I think I just killed a bird, but I can't go back out there. You have to go check. And there was
sure enough
a little.
Was it a sparrow? What was it?
I think so. I think it was a little sparrow. It just flew under. Actually, speaking of, this is the last bird thing. So there's two things. So there's an awesome app that my cousin told me about that it's like a bird watch. I don't know if it's the one that you referenced, but it's one where you can play the microphone and you can hear the calls and they'll pick it out.
Yeah.
And then the second one is, have you seen the video of Randy Johnson throwing a pitch and just exploding that bird?
Dude, that was the coolest fucking thing you could see, as a little boy. That guy just threw that ball so hard he killed a bird.
And its carcass just flops 3 times behind, and it just a plume of feathers, and you're just ooh.
That was one of those moments where immediately after that we went outside. We're just humming the ball as hard as we could at everything we could see. It was just trying to knock the skin off of something. Oh God, that was a really badass moment. That was sport.
I mean, that's a pretty big flex, I think. Even if you're Randy Johnson, who's 6'10" and one of the most dominant pitchers ever, but just blowing up a bird on live television.
Oh God, dude. It hanging in the Louvre. You know what I mean? That's got to be forever imprinted. But
I mean, it has been on my mind.
Always on my mind. Georgia's on my mind. Do you have like a little silver lining story you want to share, or?
I have a silver lining that I would like to share. So we had some friends over on Friday for dinner, and my friend's wife said to me, I listen to your show all the time. I need, whenever it comes out, I'm waiting for the next episode to come out. And so
Oh, that's
definitely
awesome.
going to shout her out. Shout out Lindsay.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. Spread that word around. If you ever want to come on the show, we'll get you on. We can
Hell
talk
yeah.
about stuff.
Big ups, Lindsay. Big ups yourself. That's awesome. Can't say thank you enough. That's so cool. Now, what about the rest of our
but I would
lazy
say-
listeners though that aren't spreading
Yeah.
the word?
Exactly. Like, come on. Or just like flooding our mailbox with how great we are.
Yeah,
like, come
yeah,
on. We deserve it.
Yeah, I think anyone who does something like this is craving attention, and if I haven't made it clear enough, I need the satisfaction of being told I'm a good boy. So please keep just find us and tell us.
And keep it coming. And another really quick silver lining. My wife was in a car accident yesterday, and she is perfectly fine. A little banged up, but is good. The kid was not in the car, which is fantastic. The other person wasn't hurt, so everybody was okay. It's annoying to deal with everything, but everybody's fine. And it just, again, reminds you, it's one of those unfortunate reminders of, don't drive distracted. But nobody was driving distracted during this, but just
Right.
there's times where you can get on your phone when you're driving, and things happen so quickly, even if you're going 35 miles an hour.
That's right.
And just, as a PSA, just don't be distracted.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Last night we were coming back from a wedding celebration, and I was, because we're doing dry January and all, completely sober and it was fine and all that. But like, I turned my head to look to like in my blind spot on my right hand side, and by the time I turned my head back around, someone had merged in front of me, and it was less than a second and a half. And if you're distracted driving, you can get yourself into some serious trouble. So but I'm glad to hear that wife is doing good. Glad to hear that there's no other damage other than just and I say just, but you know what I mean here, but it's just the car that was injured or damaged, and that's always a good thing. So
Yeah, and things, for the most part can be replaced.
That's right.
And, it's a lot better than the latter. And I'm just happy everybody, on both sides.
Yeah.
Well, more on my side of the family is fine, but I'm glad that everybody's fine.
That's great. That's great news, man. All right, well, let's get ready to start talking about some not so great news. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take that real quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the week that was.
Hell yeah.
We are back. Another week, another nightmare, Sergio. Here are some headlines that we won't spend too much time on, but I thought we should at least chat about them for a moment. Special counsel for the January 6th committee decided that he was going to release the report they generated before they abandoned the prosecution because the Justice Department's fucking spineless. What was it? Jack Smith's report, right?
Jack Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Did you read it at all? I admittedly did not.
I should. I think a lot of the stuff that is going to be said is stuff that's probably already been reported, but it would be good to kind of get it straight from the sources and from this report.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, I wish the Justice Department would do more, but also it's just such bureaucracy too, because I think their policy is they can't continue any kind of prosecution of a standing president. So
Sure, yeah.
they just have to stop. And I think the goal is to try to just keep it in limbo until after the presidency or after Trump's presidency, but if it ends. And then
He's not president yet, though. You know what I mean?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, why not just arrest him now then? You know what I mean? I understand that there's decorum and there's all these things that we're expected to do just as a matter of tradition, and the tradition of our democracy and our government is that you don't do this and you don't do that. I think that we have found out that Trump doesn't really give a shit about traditions and like the things that you're supposed to do. He tried to overthrow the government. Why is he allowed to do this again? Is just something I just cannot understand, and why the Justice Department did not act faster. Merrick Garland, you sat on your hands forever, and now you let this happen again. Like, this is a failing of neoliberal democracy.
Oh, and I also think too, like it's a missed opportunity for Merrick Garland to kind of get some clapback for him not even being able to get appointed to be a justice. You know, he could have been a lot more petty, and I would have supported that.
I support pettiness. Big petty guy. Big on petty.
Well, only if it's like liberal pettiness, not conservative pettiness.
I mean, all pettiness. I shoot for everybody. If I'm coming,
no, because Trump and all of them are talking about like withholding funds, emergency funds to California.
Let's talk about that, man. What the fuck?
Dude.
California is literally burning, and unless you're willing to bend the knee to fucking
knows how to party.
California. Oh my god, dude. Like what, 27 people dead as of like I think yesterday or 2 days ago. 40,000 acres still on fire. Containment's incredibly low. Doesn't seem to be an end in sight. What's going to happen after these fires? Like, we haven't even talked about the funding yet. We will here in a second, but like you're talking about once the rains come in that they're eventually going to get, now you're talking about potential mudslides, you're talking about other environmental catastrophes that are coming their way, and you've got a conditional government that's saying unless you bend the knee and kiss the ring, you're not getting anything from us. And I'm pretty sure California has been funding literally by itself probably the state of fucking Kentucky for, the last, I don't know, since it was originally came into the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, isn't California is one of the biggest economies in the world?
Right. Yeah. If it was his own independent nation, I think it would be like number 6 in the world or something like that. It's insane.
It's totally insane. And I think California has 54 million people, just the taxes alone, and they have high taxes out there too.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching something where they were saying that Mexico and Canada were both sending like their firefighters to help. And this is with all the things that have been said about Canadians and the Mexicans, the Mexican government and the Canadian government, rather. Sorry, not the people. By the incoming administration. And
what do you mean by that, eh?
A bunch of fucking idiots. But I mean, it's like, they're sending their best, they're sending their brightest, they're sending, their quickest responders. And, they're not willing to play this petty, dumb bullshit game that Trump is trying to play with them. And it's like, dude, understand that, like, you need friends. These are our friends. These are our allies. They're not here to eat the dogs and the cats. They're here to put out the fucking fire so that our dogs and cats aren't dying, you fucking dipshit.
And it's just like, you're absolutely right. And I think it's just so disappointing because playing this partisan politics, especially when it comes to disasters and people
that's right
that are losing their livelihoods and their house and their lives.
Yep.
This isn't a time to do that. Biden didn't do that during the North Carolina stuff and all the other hurricanes that have come through, through the South, or the tornadoes that happened in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. It's like we gotta help each other out and not have these conditions up to help these are all our people.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like it's backsliding into like a feudal compound. You know what I mean? Like we're starting to like find like our lords and of the manor dividing up, plots of land and saying, well, we won't do this for you unless you do this thing for us. And, there's not like this, like doing something without the expectation of return on that is what makes you human. So like, let's start acting like humans to each other, especially when the fucking forest is on fire. Like, what are you worried about? Governor Newsom saying that you're a piece of shit. Like, we've all been saying it. Half of your supporters say it. So like, just, operate like a leader, not like a petty child, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
that is the
anyways.
behavior of like a 6-year-old who has a lollipop but won't give you the lollipop unless you can give them, the scooter that you're riding on. It's bullshit.
Absolutely. And it's messing with people's lives. And I mean, I think you're kind of right. Like when you're talking about this feudal system, and I don't know, it just smells a lot like Russia and oligarchs. They're gonna, the oligarchs are gonna, be owning all these lands and being the governors of all these territories and areas.
Yeah. I mean, I think you bring up a really good point about Russia. And did you see? I think it was like a couple weeks ago at least. I don't know if we talked about it or not, but North Korean soldiers are being like captured by Ukrainians now, which is just like, okay, like we are like moonwalking into a world war here. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Dude, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Just that North Korea. I mean, one of their biggest like products that they sell is prison labor out in Russia and China, and I guess soldiers.
Yeah. Now they're contracting soldiers to fight in wars that they're not supposed to be involved in. It's almost like there's like an axis of powers gathering.
Interesting how you say that.
Yeah. Speaking of like militarizing the area, did you see North Korea launched its second ICBM test missile here in the last week? Which is
I didn't.
I mean, like, I don't know whether or not to be worried about that or not, but I do think it is signaling to the incoming administration, like, hey, we're still here and we're still a player on and I know that you're willing to work with us because you were before. So now, like, we're trying to show some muscle on the peninsula again. What are you willing to give us?
I don't, and it seemed, in the last Trump administration that he made some marks calling Kim Jong Un Rocket Man and stuff like that. But then
Little
also
Rocket Man.
he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I love Rocket Man.
We write each other letters all the time, and love letters. They're amazing love letters. You'd cry if you read them.
The best love letters ever.
I can feel his warm breath on the back of my neck. It's amazing. Yeah, dude. It's I think having that kind of noise coming out of the peninsula when China is really ramping up, when Russia is going to feel even more emboldened, boy, oh boy. It's Japan did just declare that they are going to start putting together their military forces for the first time since the end of World War II. The pacifist model for them is no longer an option because of what's happening with Russia, Korea, and China, and they are starting to mobilize. And everyone knows when Japan mobilizes, they invade Manchuria and rape everyone. Sorry, I was reading a Japanese history book and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible stuff.
Oh, dude, yeah, I have Wikipedia that, and it is
The rape of Nanking and all that.
Yeah, they were not very nice to the Chinese
at all.
Yeah, there's some pretty horrible,
they did some
the Japanese
terrible
army's
shit to the
been pretty
Koreans too.
terrible. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if those countries want their kickback, they kind of have it coming to them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things where you can see it in every culture, as it turns out, not just the ones we don't like.
Oh, dude, I mean, just even like remember when it came out that the U.S. was torturing people on Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
say I can say it.
You got that.
Where I had the pictures of, I know, and Guantanamo, I could say it in Spanish, but I don't know. I can't say it in English. Guantanamo.
Yeah, you got your accents all backwards there.
But the picture just of I don't know if you remember them, but the naked
Yeah.
prisoners and
Yeah.
the guards standing around them and smiling.
With the bags on their heads, and
Yes,
it's yeah, terrible stuff. War crimes, maybe even initiated by Ron DeSantis. If you went back around when
run to sanctimonious,
Ronnie
meatball run.
Meatball Ron.
I have to say, man, like I clearly don't like Donald Trump, but those two nicknames are my fucking favorite nicknames ever. Meatball Ron that's hilarious. I mean, he looks like a meatball too. So if you were to picture a human meatball with white boots on, it'd be Ron DeSantis and Meatball Ron.
Meatball Ron. What did he call? What was the one? Little Marco Rubio. That's another good one.
Pocahontas for Elizabeth Warren.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hurricane Hillary.
Crooked Hillary. That one will always stick. She sticks hard in my heart. Really good.
Sleepy Joe.
I love her to death. So while since we're talking about Trump, he's coming into his second term come tomorrow. But I think I don't know if you watched or listened to any of the Biden message or not.
I've heard some bits and pieces of it. I've been listening to a couple other political podcasts, and I've definitely, well, I'll let you talk and then I can comment afterwards.
Sure. Well, I was going to say, like, if you, I have a clip cut up for us so we can take a real quick listen, and maybe we can respond to that.
Sure.
Okay.
And that's the dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights and freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy, just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. They were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again.
In part, that's in part of the whole conversation that he was having with the nation. But
this fucking enrages me. It is so, you know what, Sleepy Joe, like, I'm angry at you. I'm angry at Obama. Like, how we bailed out the banks. So yes, the Democrats are equally culpable of creating this oligarchy and not holding any of these big corporations accountable for creating this massive amount of wealth, allowing companies to hold us hostage by shipping, themselves overseas, not paying their fair share of taxes. So yeah, I don't want to hear that shit, because you could have done something in the last 4 years, but you didn't.
yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. There's not you didn't put a foot wrong. That is a perfect summation. The Democratic Party has failed in its mission over and over and over and over and over because it continues to play to the center right instead of actually pursuing the things that they won running on, which is worker protections, healthcare protections, environmental protections,
building up minorities and helping out, communities of color when they continue to get further and further behind. And that's why I think a lot of the information that's coming back from from the latest election is just like, what have the Democrats done for me lately? Like, this guy gave us money the one time, and they say they're going to do stuff, but then they never do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Can't add anything more to that. I mean, that's a perfect summation of it.
But it's super frustrating because, again, you talk about Apple, you talk about Meta, you talk about all these huge companies that have a majority of their assets that are overseas and in banks, that can't be touched by the U.S. government, and they pay 0% taxes.
Yep.
I look at my fucking paycheck, dog, and I don't make a ton of money, and I pay at least half of my check to taxes. Uncle
Yeah.
Sam gets that all the time, and I'm fine with paying taxes. It's like it's part of our duty, but
Yes.
yeah, I just want everybody else to pay their taxes
Pay
too.
your fair share. Yeah. And Biden, guess what? You're not fucking paying your fair share either, you dick. Like, you've got money, like you were saying, Sergey, they've got money in offshore accounts that cannot be touched by the United States government. And they benefit by writing the rules and the laws to make it so they can do it even more. Nancy Pelosi fucking gets caught doing insider trading. She's not in prison. I would go to fucking prison. I would be in a white collar prison tomorrow if I got caught trading at the levels that she's trading at with insider knowledge. Just flat out. It's bullshit. And you're supposed to be one of us, quote unquote. As a person for the people. Fuck you. I get why people are disaffected. I get why Trump happened again. Part 2 is coming now. Like, part 1 was literally bombed and figuratively bombed. And part 2 is like Trump strikes back. Like, it's going to be so much worse this go around. And
The Emperor strikes back.
like, I don't know. Like a twice impeached, convicted felon is now running the country. And because the Democrats don't want to push away, like, the educated white population by saying things like, we're going to take your money. Like, we're going to take more of your money so that more people can benefit, not just you. Once you start talking about people's money, most people back off of like their actual principles and they start thinking more for themselves. And that's, our economic system dictates that, I guess.
It's just super frustrating too, because those people are still going to be more rich than you and I could ever dream of. It just like how Elon Musk has made $400 million since investing like however millions of dollars in the Trump campaign. He's made just an absorbent amount of money, and it's insane.
Yeah. I wonder what the Newt Gingrich of 1992 would have to say about this. You know what I mean? Like, would he be nearly as much as on fire about this? If it had been Clinton, like the right, the conservative right, the Rush Limbaughs of the world, the people who ran that like media market during that period of time would have went full scorched earth to get Bill Clinton out of office immediately. Like, I'm quite sure, like the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Boebert would have called for the public lynching of people. They're anti-police, they're anti-military, they're anti-people, they're anti-women.
Well, they're racist too.
Right. Like, they're just
overtly racist.
Yeah, and they're anti-everything. Like, they're just
not God.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, can't wait for that. It makes me wonder, like, when you think about like when deprogramming for like cult members and things like that, like when the country eventually hopefully gets shaken from its like national nightmare that we're all collectively living in right now, like what does the deprogramming look like for such a large swath of people that are convinced they're right? And I just don't know. I don't know that we actually can come out of that. That's the part that worries me the most.
You think how the Freedom Caucus has just been so emboldened, and they have so much fucking power that they've created all these stipulations for Speaker of the House. Look what happened with McCarthy and with Mike Johnson. You're talking about like 15 members of Congress that are insane and control a majority of the power in Congress. And you're like, what the fuck?
They are the Ohio and Nevada of the House and Senate. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do anything without them, but they're so fucking annoyingly inconsequential to like the larger shape of the nation that like you're like, I have to have you. Fuck you. I hate you. Like, you piece of shit. God. We get the government we deserve, man. We absolutely do. Let's go ahead and take a real quick drinks break, though, and then we'll get into our 2 stories for the week, if that's cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Sergio, we're back again. Have you been paying attention to like what is it? Trump's like cabinet picks this week at all? Like the Hegseth one, especially?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been listening to some podcasts and some NPR.
Tell me your impressions coming out of this week around that situation.
I mean, I have so much to say. Just how insane that nobody wants to upset Trump and just go through with the Hegseth as the Secretary of
Defense. Yeah.
And just, I mean, how he's just clearly incompetent when it comes to mismanagement, the sexual assault charges, his mom, like, lambasting him and then just being hella fake and saying, oh, you get caught up in a moment.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Like, you don't write something down like that if you don't really mean it.
Yeah. Especially about your own son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you put some thought into thinking, he is a piece of shit.
Oh, dude. And then his sexual assault stuff. He's a big alcoholic, it seems like.
Yeah. Dude loves a drink.
Or has a drinking problem, excuse me. I shouldn't say that because I don't know.
You can't say, allegedly he is an alcoholic. Allegedly. Yeah, he's a mess, isn't he? Like, I did not think that I didn't think that there would be this much smoke around somebody so early in the Trump administration, but before they even been sworn in, there's like
fucking Matt Gaetz,
7 or
man.
8. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean? Oh, yeah. The guy was having sex with minors and showing pictures of his dick on Congress and talking about like snorting Viagra and hammering, energy drinks so that you could fuck all night.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's been a lot of smoke around the Trump administration for a while.
But it's just the thing that it's the most frustrating part about it, though, is not even, maybe it's because Trump even likes these people, but it's just like, oh, this guy was loyal to me, and this is what I want, and so you fuckers are going to do it for me, and you're not going to give me any kind of resistance.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me, that how people can just have no soul and just no self-respect to and conscious to be like, yeah, this guy should be a great pick for our country's defense.
Yeah.
With how much it's like the most complex cabinet position, I think, out of all the positions, and like you're overseeing more people than any of the other places, and it has to deal with our national security. And you have a guy that's just slogging down gin and tonics at 10 in the morning,
right,
is needing to be carried up the stairs. Granted, people all, we've all at some point have had too much to drink, but like this guy clearly seems like he has a really, really big problem. Yeah,
he does, doesn't he? He seems like he's got a really big problem, one that, require, compassion and empathy and systems in place that would help him, recover from something like this, or at least put him on his path to living a well-balanced lifestyle. And the people who are taking over the White House want nothing to do with, programs like that. Instead, we see it as like an alpha bro, type of characteristic, and like, he's a super masculine man and all this other shit. And that's what Trump likes about guys like Pete Hegseth. You know what I mean?
Well, and my favorite part is like during the confirmation hearing. I don't remember the guy's last name, but I know his first name's like John Wayne something. And he was going, and he's like, he was like from Oklahoma. who hasn't had too much to drink? Who hasn't blah 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 blah?
Oh yeah.
Give me a joke. And I just like, what a douchebag. You can't even say like, give me a break or what a joke. Give me a joke.
Yeah. It's the they wanted to politically at least end Barack Obama for wearing a tan suit. So like just like the level of contradiction here from the
hypocrisy is great.
Yep, the hypocrisy is real with these people, and it's really disappointing to see that even a guy who has recently said in podcasts that women don't deserve a place in the fighting force is going to be the guy who's making decisions about women being a part of the fighting force. All these alpha bros who are out there and all these like men's right kind of guys who Hegseth absolutely fits the bill on, they say things like, well, if women want equal rights and equal protections under the law, then they too should have to be registered for things like the draft. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard that from like these macho dudes who are like, well, if she doesn't want to be hit like a man, she wants to be treated like a man, then I can hit a woman like a man, and like all this stuff. And you got to be involved in the military. If you think you're as much as good as a man is and valuable as a man is in society, then you need to be a part of the draft too. Why does my son need to go off and women get to stay home? How many times? I don't know how many times I've heard that from toxic masculinity, whether it be in culture or on YouTube videos or in conversations with people where I'm like dumbstruck by how stupid a statement they're making. It's just like, okay, so now you've got one of those kind of dudes in running the department. Yeah.
And I mean, I think they're one of the big fodder that they use with it too is they say, oh, well, we just need to have standards and women need to be able to, if they're going to be in special forces, they got to be able to meet these standards. And then they'll take it back to, DEI stuff and, how they've been slandering the female fire chief in California because of DEI, even though her budget was cut by $25 million. So she didn't have all the resources available.
And she was also like, 20 years in the fire department too? Like, it's not like we're talking about someone who doesn't have experience running a department, you fucking pieces of shit.
Well, and I think the most frustrating thing that I heard from the Hegseth thing was the female congresswoman who was, in the military and was also a sexual assault survivor.
Yeah.
And just kind of chumming up and being buddy. And again, it's just like, where's that mindset where you as a victim of something like this and being a woman, that you can just accept that? And it's just, it's mind blowing to me.
The idea that you would let the fox into the hen house, like you're one of the birds in the coop and you're like, let's go ahead and unlock it and just like, let's just see what happens. Like, he seems like he's repenting enough. He seems like he's a genuine enough fox. What do they say? Tigers don't change their stripes. Like, cheetah doesn't change its spots. Like, a wolf is a wolf, dog. Like, he might be drunk and getting DUIs, but a wolf is a wolf. Like, he is who he is. You're not going to change this guy. It's the same thing. Like, we do this dance in our society and in our politics where we're just like, oh yeah, Mitch McConnell is a really nice, genuine, sweet grandfather, and he treats his children nicely, but everything else he's ever done in his life would tell you that he's a raging piece of shit. But we try to highlight these and
his family hates him.
Right. He's a dick. He's a terrible human being. And yet when he dies, he's going to be remembered as one of the crossing guards of Hall of Fame in the Republican Party. Like, we put
the one who stood up to government.
Right. Even though his state and his county specifically get more government benefit than anyone else in the country. Oh man, it's if you can trick the poor and dumb into thinking that they're smart and not as bad off as somebody else, you can do anything you want with them.
All right, dude. So this is a nerd alert. Can you quote that from The Usual Suspects? The famous line, "The greatest trick the devil did."
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
What? Oh, the greatest trick
Greatest
the devil,
trick the devil ever
did
pulled
was convincing the world.
was convincing the world he didn't exist.
There you go.
Ooh.
That's something now. Wow.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I've never even heard of it.
The Usual Suspects?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Dog, what?
I'm dead. I am.
Are you fucking serious?
As you're finding out, as our friendship continues to blossom in different directions, I don't watch movies. I rarely. I have no idea what most people are talking about when it comes to movies, for the most part.
Oh, that's a great one, man. You should watch it. Kevin Spacey at his finest, while he was diddling.
The Spaceman.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. He did what was the other movie that he did that was pretty good?
American, the bag that was floating in the air.
Yeah.
American Life or something.
American.
What is it called?
Paradise or some shit. Look that up for us, there, Sergio.
What is it called? Horrible Bosses. It's
Ooh,
not that.
Horrible Bosses. He's actually quite good in Horrible Bosses.
He's in Seven, which is great. Oh, American Beauty.
American Beauty. Seven was probably my favorite thing that the Spaceman's ever done.
Oh, dude, Usual Suspects is fucking incredible.
Really?
You should
Okay.
definitely watch that. It is.
Who else is in it?
Got so many great. Benicio del Toro's in it.
Okay. All right.
One of the Baldwins is in it.
Depends on what Baldwin brother.
I could get down with some of the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah, I don't even know the rest. I know the one who does what's that?
Daniel Baldwin?
No, what's the show? 30 Rock? Who's that? Which one Baldwin brother is that?
That's Stephen Baldwin.
Okay, yeah. That's like the most
the one
famous of them, right?
Oh no, it's not Stephen Baldwin. It's
Is that Alec?
Yeah, it is Stephen Baldwin.
Is it? Okay.
No, Alec Baldwin. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, I've got no idea.
Kevin Pollak is in it. I fucking love me some of it. Chaz Palminteri.
No idea.
So they're great. It's yes you do. They're all in like the old. Yes, you.
I've never even heard of it. I've never even heard of it.
They're not real people.
This isn't even a movie. This is something Sergio made up in his head.
Anyways,
boy. Well, switching gears back to the show, I guess we, I think that Hegseth is probably going to get through, right? And
yeah.
I mean, like the Republicans have turned tail, and
They're all going to get through,
yeah,
except for Gates.
That's only because he pulled out. So getting back to it, Sergio, we're going to also talk about real quick chat about Elon Musk's Boring Company, which, if you're not familiar, is basically like building underground, like it's just tunnels. They're just trying to like bore tunnels to make for like hyperloop traffic and like faster travel, less, road occupants, that kind of thing. Right. So they pitched like this idea to a couple of,
so they're not going to be like the Viet Cong or Hamas.
No, Elon Musk is definitely nothing like a terrorist organization. Going from one organization to another, bankrupting it and ruining it, and leaving just a shell husk. He's kind of like a tapeworm. He's a human equivalent to a tapeworm. So Elon, he's using the Boring Company in Las Vegas. So he pitched it to a couple of different cities around the country and ended up in Las Vegas, which is, the most Vegas thing you can do is, have a unnecessary city in the middle of the desert while using, sand to bore through to connect roads for you underground. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but yeah.
So I was going to say, I raised my hand, listeners, so you couldn't see because I didn't want to interrupt Greg. But, also this is actually kind of crazy. I don't know if this is, so there's a couple of thoughts that are going into my head. So the Boring Company, at first I thought, is it spelt like boring, like, oh, this is so boring, or boring like you're boring a hole through something?
I think it's spelled the latter. I believe it's the latter. Okay. I'll check that while you're explaining your point.
I'm not very good at spelling, so I wouldn't even I would fuck that up anyway. But no, one of the things I saw with Las Vegas that's really interesting, they have I think a pretty big unhoused population.
Yes.
And a lot of them live underneath the city, and like sewer tunnels and stuff like that, and they have like whole little encampment set up down there.
Yep. Yeah, they're it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle situation for the unhoused in Vegas, and it's probably cooler down there too. So fair play to them. Maybe they're the smart ones. I don't know.
Or they're bad at crabs.
They lost everything. No, I was wrong. It is spelled Boring, as in this is boring.
Okay.
Yeah. So that should tell you everything you need to know about Musk's company. I actually was reading.
He's so clever.
Dude, he is so clever. He is the most clever dude. So clever, in fact, and I didn't realize this until I was looking at his website, but he has his own line of cologne, which is cool. Okay, cool. That is exactly my reaction was, oh, cool. Yeah, that checks out. It's called Burnt Hair Singed. That's the name of the cologne.
Ew.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Because I mean, I could definitely, it does create, you reading that, the mental imagery of what burnt hair smells like. And it is one of the worst smells.
Oh, yeah.
I used to have a friend that would light his hair on fire, like his leg hair on fire, just to gross everybody out. He would say, you want to smell like the grossest thing? And he would just like singe his hair. And
Oh my God.
Sting. This kid was also kind of a fuck too. Like he was kind of a weirdo.
I'd say so.
Austin, man. He would take like after football practice, he would like rub his sweaty nuts and just flick the sweat on us.
What the fuck's wrong with Austin?
Austin's a fucking weird, but he was big too, so he could beat the shit out of me. So I couldn't really. I mean,
Couldn't say anything.
You're either flicking the ball sweat or you're getting the ball sweat flicked on you, and I was the other guy.
You were always the nail in that situation. He was definitely bringing the hammer. It is definitely the subtext on the fragrance is called the essence of repugnant desire, and I can't think of a better name than Burnt Hair Singe, the essence of repugnant desire.
Is that like a way to try to attract whoever or to repel them?
I don't know. They say it smells strange, but makes for an excellent gift on Amazon. This is for the Tesla fanatic in your life, which is literally a review. It's just so for $100, you could get 3 ounces of liquid shit. Business Insider did an office survey, and the majority of the office said it smelled like a 20-something regret and bad decisions. It smelled like burning cardboard when you put a pizza box in the campfire. Like, it's just... You've got to be kidding me. Why anyone would buy this? So back to the Boring Company's website, though. The Las Vegas Vegas Loop will provide fast and convenient transportation to the Las Vegas community, its visitors, and beyond. The Vegas Loop will include LVCC Loop and any future service extensions, including those to casinos, to the Strip, Harry Reid International Airport, the Allegiant Stadium, downtown Las Vegas, and eventually to Los Angeles. Once the Vegas Loop once complete, it will transport more than 90,000 passengers per hour. Clark County and City of Las Vegas have approved up to 68 miles of tunnel and 104 stations for the Vegas Loop. So it's got the potential to be quite large in terms of what it could do, in terms of, moving a lot of people, a lot of cars. And, this is kind of where like I'm always in two minds with Musk, because I think some of the things that he is coming up with, or like has like collaborated with people to come up with, or like cribbed off of their ideas, or just out and out stolen their stuff, their ideas, is he is putting like forth like, okay, maybe this is a way of handling traffic and making it a little easier. I don't know. Maybe it's for Teslas and Teslas only, and like you have like this smart automated driving structure where you like, each car is a car length away from each other, and like it's kind of like what is it, like the Magline trains in Japan, where it's where
the Maglev or whatever.
Yeah. So like maybe like eventually you're getting to that place with travel, and I think that's a good idea. I just don't think that that's what's coming, and I'll toss it to you though.
Well, I'm with you on that camp. That idea sounds really interesting, and I think that if we, it, I guess the pessimistic side of me is he's just going to try to do it to make the most amount of money and make it really shitty as
Yeah.
possible, make it the most cost effective. But I mean, I think it would be really awesome for a place like Baltimore if we had one of those,
Hmm.
magnetic, fast bullet trains that went to New York to DC in 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
To get people, that don't want to live in New York, and you can work up there. You can live down here
Yeah.
in Maryland and get to work in 15 minutes, and you can afford a house, and it gives people just a lot more access.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be really nice also too for just like tourism, right? Like
Yeah.
one of the major barriers to entry for some families for vacation is, hey, it costs a fucking ton of money to go from DC to Manhattan or to Boston.
In time.
It takes a lot of time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. If you're flying people, even if you're not flying people, with the way that gasoline costs, fuel costs, it just costs a lot of money. And if you could say secure, round trip, train fare for an affordable rate because it's subsidized by the government, or and people's tax money is going towards it, yeah, then why not, right?
No, but people are always going to find a reason not to do it. It's
Sure.
it's bringing people of color, the unhoused people are
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yep.
And
Yeah. I think we should one day sit down and discuss like the mass transit system and how like it became racialized, and what that has meant for the suburbs, and like white flight, and the Great Migration and things like that. I think we should talk about that one day. I think it would be really interesting.
that would be.
So from ProPublica on this Elon Musk tunnel shit, the project is also realizing Musk's notion of how government officials should deal with entrepreneurs, avoid lengthy reviews before building, and instead impose fines later if anything goes awry. Musk's views on regulatory power have taken on new significance in light of his close ties to President-elect Donald Trump and his new role in an effort to slash rules in the names of improving efficiency. The Las Vegas project will now well underway is a case study for the regulatory climate that Musk prefers. Privately operated and receives no federal funding, is exempt from kinds of exhaustive government vetting and environmental analysis, by other cities that, boring pitch to. Such reviews assess whether a proposal is the best option and inform the public of the potential impacts to traffic and the environment. And I'll stop there real quick and kind of just return back to the earlier part of this, which is where they were saying, hey, this guy's going to be working in the White House now, and he is part of the Department of Government Efficiency. This is a guy who believes in, break shit now and ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, I think when he is nuzzling up to Trump as much as he can, I mean, you've already seen how much more his company and how much he's made in the last year. That why wouldn't he? I think there's some pretty scary stuff with him having almost a monopoly when it comes to satellites and stuff that he's launching out. I mean, he's going to have a major say of who produces that, and if you can just rub elbows with the other billionaires that are cabinet members and get around that stuff, you're getting rid of the Supreme Court, the Chevron doctrine that's just going to basically allow people to say, oh, well, this is causing me hurt, this is unfair regulation, and I'm going to sue.
Yeah.
And it's going to be bad.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think we're fucked. I think we're so fucked. We're so fucked.
Yeah. Well, and then just to kind of tie it around full circle is that with all these environmental impacts that are going to happen, we're going to have more forest fires that are going to happen from the increase of climate change, and we're also going to have contamination in our waterways. We're going to be destroying national forests, national areas to utilize those resources, and they're not going to give a fuck.
That's funny that you bring up the destruction of water sources here, because Musk has done that with his boring company. Now, I'll quote from Politico. Twice installed tunnels without permits, the boring company, to work on county property. State and local environmental regulators documented it dumping untreated water into storm drains and in the sewer system. And as local politicians were approving an extension of the system, boring workers were filing complaints with the State Occupational Safety and so OSHA about ankle deep OSHA. So they were filing complaints with OSHA about ankle deep water in tunnels. Muck spills and severe chemical burns. These are the employees. After the investigation, the Nevada OSHA in 2023 fined the company more than $112,000. Boring, of course, disputes those allegations and contested its violations. A little bit more here. The boring company is at it again. An employee of the Clark County Water Reclamation District wrote to the agency's general manager and legal counsel. After videos showed water spilling from a company-owned property into the street near University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Tyler Fairbanks, a boring company manager, emailed the county official saying, "We take this very seriously and we are working to correct what's going on." So they were just dumping wastewater into public sewer systems. I mean, isn't that how like the Ohio River got lit on, became flammable back in the 70s and 80s? Like, it makes no sense to me to operate like that. Anything to get around having to do it the right way. These guys who claim to be billionaires who are self-made and who, do it all, do the right thing. And, sometimes, you gotta step on somebody to get ahead kind of thing. But they're just skirting the rules all the time. They're not doing it the right way.
And the other thing too, and I always fault the billionaire, but it's also our politicians and government really don't give OSHA a lot of power. Like you just said, it's like a line item budget for them, $125,000.
Yeah. That's
pennies, or that's hay pennies for them. So it's just like, all right, it's part of the cost. Like it's way cheaper to just get fined than it is to properly dispose of this shit.
Yeah. Why go through the trouble of, having fail safes in our wastewater treatment centers and, places for runoff dumps that are going to cost us, $500,000 to build and go through like the proper channels. Well, we could just pay $112,000 and, forget about it.
Or we'll try to sue and just tie it up in litigation and continue to do it. And still don't get charged or fined $100,000.
Yep. And we can use it. We can write it off somehow, I'm sure, through some kind of creative accounting, Yeah.
And it's a lib's fault.
It's all the Democrats because they were the ones who put the regulation in place to begin with. I love it. Actually, you touched on something that this article was writing about here. They were saying financial penalties wouldn't put a dent in the company's bottom line. John Solvey, a Clark County Water Quality Compliance Manager, told County Public Works Director in an email. Still, the concerns are significant enough that Solvey asked if the department would consider revoking permits, essentially shutting down Boring's operation until they resolve their issues. And it obviously, isn't really going to matter now that he's in the White House with Trump. I don't know. Like, this whole conflict of interest thing.
I don't know. It won't, because my pal's Donald. I don't done anymore.
It just kills me, man. I just don't understand this. I don't know, man. They're doing everything they can to cut corners, like you said, to avoid the regulation. So, like, I don't know. I guess we should just expect more deregulation, less oversight. A guy who's benefiting off of government contracts in the White House, not as working also as an department head. Like, what do we? How has this become our government?
It is just a new era, and I will be very interested to see from this next 4 years and into the future what happens, and just how politics just evolves and morphs over the next 20 years.
Yeah. What maybe we can wrap up with this. The month, let's call it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, or 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. What do you think is going to happen 30 days, like the first 30 days of the Trump presidency, 90 days and 180 days? What do you think is actually going to happen?
I mean, I think within probably the first 30 days, there's going to be a bunch of executive orders that are going to be he's going to mandate out. 90 days, I think you're gonna start seeing the implementation of different policies. I think there's probably going to be a new rush to make things a lot more conservative. Yeah, I think you're going to have some interesting court cases coming up to the Supreme Court. And 180 days, it would be really interesting to see if, they start eliminating some of these departments, like Department of Education, and seeing, what his foreign policy is going to be like when it comes to tariffs and things like that. Is the cost of living going to continue to stay the same, or is it going to get a lot higher? Buying cars. I talked about us getting a car, and I don't know if we got to be in a rush now if our car's totaled. Having to get a new car before they start, putting in place these tariffs that could jack up the prices of cars, and then the interest rates are still really high. So, those are kind of the thoughts that I'm having.
Yeah, while you were talking there, I was looking up the docket for the Supreme Court coming up 2024 and 2025 here, and so I was just trying to find what's coming up here pretty close, and it does seem like there's going to be some stuff coming up that's going to really or could be potentially coming up that is going to overturn some stuff. Some serious protections environmentally, and also maybe even on the homeland security front. What does the landscape look like 180 days out from now? I think you see a lot of those executive orders starting to find firm footing. I wonder, which ones will be officially signed on the first day. I think you're going to see that the migration executive order is going to be signed first, and they're going to start mobilizing ICE units. I really do. I think that this has been Project 2025 the entire time, and I think it's going to be pretty bad. I think 60 days in, there's going to be, I hope not, but I do think that there's going to be a lot of civil unrest as people's families start to become separated, and people are not going to be happy with that. And even though people who voted for him are going to be kind of astounded at the cruelty at which this is going to be carried out, and I can only feel okay enough knowing that I'm doing my part to try to be an advocate for the other side. And that's because my vote did nothing, to stop any of this. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to get really hard. And I think 180 days from now, we're all going to be very, very, in a very different place, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a listener telling me the other day, gosh, you guys talk about some pretty heavy stuff. And I was like, yeah, we do. But I think it's informative. I think we should be talking about this, maybe not, through the lens of like doom and gloom, but more through like the lens of like, all right, well, this is, what do we have to do together to stop this from happening or keep the impact as low as possible? So that's all I can think,
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully people are feeling inspired when they do hear the doom and gloom about the things that they can get involved in. Maybe in future shows we can plug in some different organizations. I know for like the immigration issue, there's Casa Maryland is a great resource for Hispanic and Latino families that they're doing different talks about knowing your rights in Maryland if you get pulled over, and what you can and can't do under the law of immigration and what you should do.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. I agree with you. I think we, moving forward, I think maybe we pick one a week, one a month, and maybe we talk about what they do to try to help people, and make it so that it's not such a scary world for them. I guess I don't know. It's gonna be really hairy for the next couple of weeks, so we're gonna have to hold on tight, I think.
Oh yeah.
But listeners, thank you for listening and enjoying another episode of At the Extremes. Do subscribe and share. It goes a long way. It makes us feel good. Again, we are both so desperate for your approval, so just keep that coming. If you'd like to hear more about this or this topic, or if you have any other stories you want to share with us, chat about, whatever, reach out to us on Blue Sky at the Extremes Pod. Check the show notes, and until next week,
educate yourself, bro.
Who knew the apocalypse could be so lovely?